The omens that foretold the deaths of the mad emperors. Tiberius. During the entire period of Tiberius's retirement from Rome, he only twice attempted to return. On the first occasion, he sailed up the Tiber in a trireme, as far as the gardens near Julius Caesar's artificial lake, having posted troops along both banks to order away anyone who came to meet him. But after a distant view of the city walls, he sailed back. It is not known why. On the second occasion, he rode up the Via Appia, as far as the 7th milestone, but then retreated because of a frightening portent. This was the death of a pet snake, which he used to feed with his own hands. When about to do so as usual, he found it half eaten by a swarm of ants, and a soothsayer warned him, "Beware the power of the mob." He hurried back to Campania, fell ill in Austria, yet felt strong enough to continue with his journey. At Circe, he disguised his ill health by attending the garrison games, and even threw javelins from his president's box at a wild boar let loose in the arena. On his last birthday, Tiberius dreamed that the enormous, beautiful statue of Apollo, which he had brought from Syracuse to erect in the library of Augustus's temple, came in to announce, "Tiberius will never dedicate me." A few days before his death, the lighthouse on Capri was wrecked by an earthquake. At Misenum, the dead embers of the fire which had been put into a brazier to warm his dining room suddenly blazed up again, early in the evening, and continued to glow until late that night. Caligula. Many omens of Caligula's approaching death were reported. While the statue of Jupiter at Olympia was being dismantled before removal to Rome at his command, it burst into such a roar of laughter that the scaffolding collapsed and the workmen took to their heels, and a man named Cassius appeared immediately afterwards, saying that Jupiter had ordered him in a dream to sacrifice a bull. The Capitol at Capua was struck by lightning on the Ides of March, which some interpreted as portending another death of the same sort that had previously occurred on that day. At Rome, the Palatine Steward's Lodge was likewise struck, and this seemed to mean that the master of the house stood in danger of attack by his own guards. On asking the astrologer Sulla for his horoscope, Gaius learned that he must expect to die very soon. The oracle of the goddess of fortune at Antium likewise warned him, "Beware of Cassius." Whereupon, forgetting Correa's nomen, he ordered the murder of Cassius Longinus, the consular governor of Asia. On the night before his assassination, he dreamed that he was standing beside Jupiter's heavenly throne, when the god kicked him with the great toe of his right foot and sent him tumbling down to earth. Some other events that occurred on the day of his death were read as portents. For instance, blood splashed Gaius as he was sacrificing a flamingo. Nestor danced the same tragedy that had been performed by the actor Neoptolemus during the games at which King Philip of Macedonia was assassinated, and a farce called Laureolus, at the close of which the leading character, a highwayman, had to die while escaping and vomit blood, was immediately followed by a humorous epilogue. The comedians were so anxious to display their proficiency at dying that they flooded the stage with blood. An evening performance by Egyptians and Ethiopians was also in rehearsal, a play staged in the underworld. Claudius. The main omens of Claudius's death included a comet, lightning that struck his father Drusus's memorial, and an unusual mortality among the magistrates of all ranks. There is also evidence that he foresaw his end and made no secret of it. While choosing the consuls, he provided for no appointment after the month in which he died, and on his last visit to the Senate, he offered an earnest plea for the harmony between Britannicus and Nero, begging the senators to guide both of them with great care through the difficult years of their youth. During a final appearance on the tribunal, he said more than once that he had reached the close of his mortal career, though everyone present cried, "The gods forbid." Nero. The implications of auspices, of omens old and new, and of his own dreams began to terrify Nero. In the past, he had never known what it was to dream, but after killing his mother, he dreamed that he was steering a ship and that someone tore the tiller from his hands. Next, his wife Octavia pulled him down into a thick darkness, where hordes of winged ants swarmed over him. Then the statues of the nations, which had been dedicated in the theater of Pompeii, began to hem him in and prevent him from getting away, while his favorite Asterian horse turned into an ape, or all except the head, which whinnied a tune. Finally, the doors of the mausoleum opened by themselves, and a voice from inside called, "Enter Nero." On the calends of January, the household gods, which had just been decorated, tumbled to the ground during preparations for the sacrifice, and as Nero was taking the auspices, Sporus gave him a ring engraved with Persephone's descent into the underworld. Then a great crowd gathered to pay their annual vows to Nero, but the keys of the Capitol were mislaid. Again, while his speech against Vindex was being read in the Senate, a passage running, "The criminals will soon incur the punishment and die the death which they so thoroughly deserve," was hailed on all sides with cries of, "Augustus, you will do so." People also noticed that Nero, at his latest public appearance, sang the part of Oedipus in exile, and ended with the line, "Wife, mother, father, do my death compel." With Nero, the line of the Caesars became extinct. Among the many prophetic indications of this event, two outstanding ones are mentioned by historians. As Livia was returning to her villa at Veii after marrying Augustus, an eagle flew by and dropped into her lap a white hen which it had just pounced upon. Noticing a laurel twig in its beak, she decided to keep the hen for breeding and to plant the twig. Soon the hen raised such a brood of chickens that the house is still known as the poultry. Moreover, the twig took root and grew so luxuriously that the Caesars always plucked laurels from it to wear at their triumphs. It also became an imperial custom to cut noose slips and plant these close by, and, remarkably enough, the death of each emperor was anticipated by the premonitory wilting of his laurel. In the last year of Nero's reign, then, not only did every tree wither at the root, but the whole flock of poultry died. And, as if that were insufficient warning, a thunderbolt presently struck the temple of the Caesars, decapitated all the statues at a stroke, and dashed Augustus's scepter from his hands.